Hey guys, Muscle Whisperer Josh. The big question. Anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt, what they even mean, how you get them, what you're doing that's causing them, all those different things. I'm going to explain it all here. First and foremost, pelvis is our true center. There's all this focus put on the core, which is not even a real word in anatomy. And for people who are like into the science of it, core doesn't even really mean anything to us other than just something that's kind of like this fictitious thing that's been made up about our center here. Our true center is the seam between our upper and lower halves, and that's our pelvis. It dictates everything in the body, it controls everything in the body, and almost every muscular and structural issue will stem from that. It doesn't matter if it got that way and now there's a bunch of symptoms all over our body, like kind of byproducts of the pelvis being out of alignment, or if we force it to be that way. You know, there's a lot of people who walk around like this. And there's a lot of people who do squats like this. The first thing they do is right there, boom. Worst thing you can do in a squat. You should never do that. I'm going to get into all that though. So, anterior pelvic tilt, what is it? Anterior pelvic tilt is what I call ghetto booty. So it's real easy for anybody to understand. We've all seen this nowadays. The butt's out like this. Girls walking around. Yeah, heck, I shouldn't even say girls. Guys do it like crazy too. I see it all the time now. I mean, guys are really into the legs. There's a lot of guys wearing the basic yoga-like pants and stuff now, so there's no separation in that. And a lot of guys are stuck that way because a lot of guys really do push the level of intensity when it comes to their leg training, and the volume of their legs is absolutely ridiculous. And just a little shift to that pelvis, they'd be even more ridiculous. Okay, so ghetto booty, boom. Butt is out, lower back's really curved. What's happening up here? Do you see it immediately? Watch this. Goes back to neutral. Out to anterior. See my shoulders? So can you see the correlating effects here? Now what could this be? This could come from two different directions here. You could either be somebody who does this. You could be somebody who gets stuck this way because you sit for long periods of time, you work, you travel, whatever it is, right? Or you could be somebody who really drives that out from sitting in a forward position, like to play on our phones. I call it the 45-degree technology day and age. And that's basically because my head is down basically at a 45 all the time, or it's looking up in most cases at a big movie screen, at a monitor on the computer, TV. A lot of times you have a pitch to your neck up. So sometimes we have this instigate this, and other times we have this instigate this. And then there's a whole slew of things that happens to the lower body as well, but I'll get into that in a minute. As far as the anterior pelvic tilt, okay, ghetto booty, butt goes out, curve of the lower back, we're going to see forward shoulders always. This is always going to be an issue here. And then what happens is people who try and do a fake forced posture, I call it. This is where it's pretty much a false posture, or back like this. We're trying to force that posture, but this is where people get this big protruding chest here. This is where guys lack major development in their chest, because they have shoulders forward and then they have all this like risen pressure here. So when they start to do things, they seam in their lower back a lot. And that's what happens with almost everything in an anterior pelvic tilt, is we put all the pressure right here. The hips are shifted here. You ever wonder why you guys got big quads? If anybody wonders why they have big quads, sorry, getting caught looking at I'm not looking at the camera, so. If you ever wonder why you have big quads and you have lack of development in the back side of your body, then it's most likely going to be caused from an anterior tilt, where your butt is stuck out like this. So this entire back side of our leg, guys, is going to be lengthened, and we don't want it lengthened because it's the same reason you shouldn't, you know, there's the misconception with our hamstrings and people stretching them. They're already too long in most cases because pelvis is shifted up here and it basically drags it's like my pants right here. It's like it drags these pants up in the back. That's exactly what's happening right here. So it's pulling all this tissue all the way up back in my legs. Hamstrings are going to lose development. They're major stability loss in the hamstrings, which is what supports our glutes. So we're trying to build big glutes here. I'm trying to get a nice butt. And then we have no support from the hamstrings. You can consider the hamstrings like your friend helping you over a wall. Like if you're pushed up like this is your hamstrings to your glutes, okay? They're right up under there. Without them, our glutes are really going to suffer. What else is going to happen from this? The major byproduct that everybody has: shin splints, calf issues, and a lack of development in the calves. How many people are with me on that one? I know there's so many people. I've even suffered from it at a point in my life because I had major shin splints from being such a heavy basketball athlete. Baseball too, but basketball is really what did it. So it's pulled all the way up. Look at this, guys. Look. Anybody of you got a big bulge in the back of your knee right now? If you wonder why your knee isn't nice and concave in the back and it's kind of popped out, well, that bulge right there is because you got everything pulled up in the hamstring here.
It's pulled up so far that it gets to the very bottom, which is now pulling on your calf, killing the development and stability of that. It's pulling away, the calf is going like this, away, up like this. So the body, what's it do? It just fuses all that tissue right to the shin splints, okay? Shin splints. It's essentially when there's neglect and pull on that calf and your body's just adhering it right to the shin. It's not really any crazy thing. Plantar fasciitis is the next step. When you get it to the calf, there's so much pull on that calf, then it's going to work its way to the foot. When there's no slack left in the calf, pulling up to the foot is the last, it's the end of the road. When that foot just, it's very small muscles, ligaments and tendons in there. So when they get yanked on, they get, it's fiery, it's burned, it feels like tendons and everything just burning all the time. And that's where plantar fasciitis ends up developing. Your body's trying to build these adhesions and things to stop these things from being pulled on. So anterior pelvic tilt, ghetto booty, butt out, curve of the back, shoulders are going to be pitched forward, lack of development in the hamstrings, lack of development in the glutes. Sometimes you can get glutes with an anterior pelvic tilt, but I'll go into that probably on another video because that'll get a little too elaborate here. So lack of development in the glutes, hamstrings, calves, bolts to the back of the knee, potential foot issues and plantar fasciitis. And guess what else, guys? The famous dominant quads. Pulled up here, push down here. Pelvis is dropped into the front of it. It's just leverage, guys. Muscles fire, they're torque arms. You got the bone, things like this happens, certain muscles fire with it because I'm leveraging those muscles by getting, the bone structure moves and all the muscles with it. Same thing goes with right here. You got more pressure here, pull here, pressure here. Your quads are gonna fire more. You got pressure on them, and it's pre-firing, so to speak. They're ready to go because they already got pressure on them here. This is pulled, so it'll take a lot more for you to push your butt down and then hold stuff. Instead of being here in a squat, you're gonna be here in a squat and force that to stay down. Try and fall like I'm sitting straight up and down, and don't let my knees, of course, go over my toes. But that's what's gonna have to happen in order for you to feel that backside of your leg when you're stuck in an anterior pelvic tilt. It's gonna be pulled up here, boom, push down here. These are gonna have a whole bunch of pressure on them, therefore they're gonna fire a lot more. Big quads, a lot of pressure in the shins. Now you can see as this pulls on the backside of the shin and the calves, it's got that forward pressure on the shin from the quads and everything going down there. Knee problems, pressure on the knees. Everybody gets them on both sides here. You start to feel it on the back, obviously, because of what I just explained. But that pressure on the front of the shin right there as the pull is going down the backside of the calf from the backside being pulled up. You can see why shin splints would form pretty rapidly, right? Now you can see why cardio would be a pain, and you could deal with a lot of issues when it comes to that too. All right, let me not get ahead of myself. So posterior pelvic tilt, what is this? Old man booty. Ghetto booty, anterior tilt, posterior, old man booty. We've all seen it. People walk around looking like this. You notice what my back is doing here? So anterior tilt, I'm like kind of trying to force it. I'm leaning forward here, my butt's out. Posterior tilt. This is almost always what you're gonna see. See a big slouch, big round back. And you see this a lot as you get older. Because just think about it, you're losing stability and everything through the knees and all the joints down in your feet. You're not walking as good. The doctor's telling you shouldn't be moving on this or that, which is opposite of what you should do. So you slow down, and next thing you know, what would have a good support and a nice shelf here of the pelvis holding us up, holding our torso up, is now suffering because of all the knees. Watch, if the knees bend, immediately we want to do this. If your knees just like, if somebody came up behind you, think about it. Everybody's been there when one of their friends wants to be like me. Don't ever lock your knees in front of me. I'll come up and boop, and just play around. So I've always done that since school. I still kind of do it to people I mess around with. If somebody comes up and kicks your knees out from under you, boom, just like that, and we've all had it happen one way or another, boom. See what happens? You immediately you want to go forward, like your knees buckle and then the chest wants to just go with it. Well, you can't have this because that would be just, you'd end up just kind of falling right over. So what the body does is it ends up creating this compensation, which is the posterior tilt. Now the knees, if you can feel it here, when you go like this and your knees are bent, it's a lot harder to hold you up. The second you go posterior, like way posterior, all this pulls up off the knees. So to somebody getting older or anybody who's dealing with this issue, you can see how the body would be adapting to that and pulling it back to take pressure off the knees, because the knees aren't really having the same stability all the way down, probably through the feet as you get older. Of course, unless you're doing some kind of maintenance and stuff to keep it up with it. But
most people as they get older, but you really, honestly, I mean, even as I get older now, I've noticed certain things that I speed up on and other things that I slow down on. So I imagine when I double my age and I'm 70 or something like that, it might not be such an advocate for foam rolling when I can't hold myself up as well. But anyways, so posterior tilt, boom. You see this, you see this, okay? We're not up this. This is gonna be your posterior tilt, lock legs, everything's stretched up through there, dip forward, posterior tilt, slouchy. We're really, really slouchy. That posterior tilt is where you see major issues happen, because if you notice what happens to the head. As this goes and you bend the knees and you get really slouchy, see how my head, you notice immediately, I bet a lot of you are like, oh, my grandma, my grandfather, and then they have the huge hunchback and the big ball in the middle of their neck. And a lot of people in the younger ages now, I have a lot of clients who have the big bulge in their neck in their 20s and 30s. So posturally, we're getting a lot more screwed up, guys. I mean, we're sitting in positions and doing stuff that are encouraging these anterior and posterior tilts. In most cases, it's anterior because we're all sitting at work. And if I'm comfortably sitting at work, I'm good to go. I got good, you know, assuming I'm sitting in a seat right now. Well, what happens as I get tired is I end up doing this. I go into that posterior tilt. You'll notice it as you sit in the car for a long period of time or anything. Your body kind of, it doesn't really want to hinge this way. It doesn't make sense to do that in a seat. It wants to do this, and it's just a little bit more comfortable for the body as you fatigue, because we ignore the fact that we're sitting there and our body is holding whatever the portion of my upper body weighs. But you know, our pelvis has got that sitting there. There's still a whole lot of recruitment going on, static recruitment just all day, sitting there just to keep us up. We forget that. This thing, this big melon here weighs a lot of, you know, I mean, it's whatever they say, 16-pound bowling ball. You know, on up. I mean, I see my son's head, and you watch it as these little guys trying to maintain this thing too, so you can see how stuff starts at a young age, stuff at an old age. But so anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt, I hope you guys have a pretty good understanding of that. And now I want to just tell you, like, how are you getting these? We've talked a lot about that. I mean, you can see, like, it's mostly from like sitting, standing for work, traveling long periods of time, sports, I mean, yes, sports, I really don't even say sports are trying to, like, they're helping us. They're keeping us fixed in a lot of ways, because a lot of these guys and girls that are out doing these things, it's keeping them mobile and stuff, and it's preventing them from getting this kind of sedentary body that we get as we go into, like, adulthood. Because even a lot of these, like, if you look at every NFL player, pretty much, I was looking last year, every NFL lineman, both sides, has pretty much a hardcore anterior pelvic tilt. And the funny thing is they have to get pushed backwards the whole time. Both of them are pushing each other backwards essentially. And so their posterior chain, the backside of their body, is the most important thing for them. Having an anterior tilt, having that lengthened and weakened is the worst thing they could have. But God forbid those guys, you see what happens to them in most cases, unless they're one of the dudes who really goes into some kind of like anti-aging modalities and they really get their body fixed and stuff after they exit the league, whatever major league sport or sport they're playing. But in reality, it keeps them in check and stuff like that. And like I said, God forbid they were to stop that abruptly and then not take on any of those modalities, we see what happens. There's a lot of famous people that we've all seen, witness the rapid decline after they stopped doing whatever they were doing. It's famous in boxers and different things like that, you know, hard-hitting sports and stuff. Even basketball, I mean, a lot of these guys, you know, these tall dudes who play like that, coming up and jumping and jumping and jumping and like landing and slamming into each other, all these different things, that's pretty intense. So even my little body playing basketball all those years, it really took a beating from it, just from constant impact and from whatever, from the ground, from people. So big things that people are doing these days that are killing them, okay? Speed in your exercises. If you're not training for an explosive sport, then short of doing it for some fun here and there, like set up for a specific workout to be explosive, and then you do something to kind of offset that and bring that back, like foam rolling, stretching, things like that. It's just not like an everyday thing. Like if you go and do it, and I say the duck walks when people are lunging and they're doing this really fast bend of the knee, okay? That's definitely gonna make you have the fatty knee look. And if you have an anterior tilt and you already overcompound the front side of your quad and your leg, then you're gonna see a pretty big incline in the fatness to your knee. So if you're somebody out there who has a heavy knee and you feel like you don't have any fat on your body to justify having that size of a knee, then most likely it's from how fast you're bending the knee. So fast lunges, fast squats, fast any of those things, lots of jumping. When you guys go up and you're jumping down off of stuff, you should never jump backwards. You're loading up that backside of the body. It's not built like that.
and just all these heavy impact things with speed. Speed is your enemy, I always say, unless it's being used for a specific necessity towards a specific training for something, you know, specific. I mean, you're doing something that on purpose for whatever you're training for. But other than that, speed should only be, it's relative. You should only go as fast as you can to control exactly what you're doing. I mean, the exercise should be flawless and it should be the right speed in order for you to do it. If you don't, and you bend the knee really fast, the quad is meant to decelerate knee flexion. It's meant to slow the bending of the knee. So like to sit here and go like this when you don't need to versus a nice like feel it, let the weight hang in it. If you guys start doing these things where you, instead of this first bend right here, you just shifted everything into compensation immediately. Because I don't care how good you think you are. I'm not that good, and I couldn't ever be that good because you can do it for an explosive motion, but that's why I say you should save those for the moments that you need them. Otherwise, you're going to do this fast bending of the knee, and I don't care who you are. You cannot tell the body to not compensate with that because you immediately just demanded that the body shift to all these different areas. Rather than hanging it, the first motion when you go into a squat, any bending of the knee motion. And then at the bottom, like when you're into it, before you come up, I don't even know if you guys can see me right, but I'll just assume. So before you come up, that initial motion there and this initial motion here, those are the most important, guys. Do not speed through those. Because if you do, you immediately shift the compensation. You get away from your body being able to, or your brain being able to like contact those muscles and engage them the exact way that you want it to. So that bend of the knee here, you feel them, you feel the muscles hang up in there. You can immediately feel them engage and do this little bounce when you do it. Who cares about anything of what you're doing when you do it except for you? Like just try these things out, feel the muscles, and engage things, and watch. Don't stick your butt out. That is the biggest no-no. You don't stick your butt out on a squat or anything. It's tucked. You feel the seam between your butt and your hamstring. Wherever they touch, you feel that fire, and then you try and keep that feeling. So squeeze your butt cheeks together. Rule of thumb, anytime you can squeeze the butt and you can feel like the cheeks actually go together in the middle, then you know your pelvis has got to be somewhat neutral. If you can't, then you feel it barely squeezed, then you know that your pelvis is probably shifted out. Posterior, you would feel it too much. You'd almost feel like your groin and like you got to pee, that kind of feeling, and you would feel like your lower abs light up more than you would feel anything in your glutes. So, rule of thumb, when you walk, everything. Butt tight, little squeeze, pelvis neutral. Have that in there, slow, tuck to the back of the leg, try and hold that position the entire time you do this. Like as you come down, look, you want to keep your chest like there, no curve to the lower back, very, very minimal. You should feel this all smooth through there. You want to try and go down like a seat. And the whole time I'm pushing this here, I might not do this perfect, guys. This is like early for me and I'm just doing the video. So I'm getting the form pretty good here, going through it. Don't let this happen, okay? Don't let that happen. We don't want to be here. You want to be here, feeling this go down, and you want to feel like the quads are coming off of your knee back towards you. So we're pulling that pelvis up from here, pushing it down into the glutes, keeping that there, not too much, just slightly neutral, all the way down, all the way down. So I mean, it's pretty good, I think, the way I did. Here at the bottom, you can bounce and you can feel this, almost like you're squeezing your butt cheeks up under you guys, like you want to feel like they're coming up and lifting you up. So as you bounce to come up, you want to feel this come up like here, but not this humping thing that everybody's doing here at the top. That's just full lower back. The more you do that, the more you're going to start getting your lower back to engage. So as you squat at the bottom, feel it scoop up under you. Do this little pop. Once you feel those peaks right on the bone, you can feel this bone when you squeeze on it. Right on those peaks, you'll feel them tighten up and you want to hold that tightness. That's when your glutes are turned on. So do these things to get into it to where you feel it. Turn them on and then rise up. Keep that in there the whole time. Feel like they're together. If they start coming apart, you'll get better at it. But just try and check. Am I here? Am I here? Am I here? Am I here? You know, is my butt squeezed in a nice position where I can keep these things together and I know my pelvis is somewhat neutral? Whew. Squats early in the morning. So, butt tight, feel the seam of the back of your leg. Hold that down. Lunges, same thing. Squeeze the butt. And when you get into it, you want to come and you can change the position of your knees. This kind of helps you feel where you're leveraging, as well as start at the bottom, start at the top. Feel the squeeze of the glutes at those two positions. Your transition, your start, your finish, okay? Your start, your finish, check my butt. Your transitions, check my butt, okay? The most important parts of any, we're sticking with legs here because this is what most important with it, okay? All the other stuff I can explain later. Transition, start and finish, transitions, okay? Here, that first bend of the knee, boom. Am I engaged? Do I feel the quads coming up off my knees? Do I feel them pushing into my knees? Number one thing to check. Do I feel like my hips are kind of cramping up? If they are, kind of feel where I'm at. Do I feel like my butt cheeks are squeezed together good? Do I feel the seam like right at the bottom of my glutes tighten up, like they're pushing into my hamstring? As I squat, do I feel my butt shoving down my leg, keeping my upper body feeling like it's nicely supported like a shelf? Is my back real curved? If it is, big no-no. Is the knees way out over the toes? Big no-no. So keep those back, keep this here. Don't let this come out. We want it all here, but we don't over hump. We want to keep that, keep it down there, like into the range. In, like you're trying to take the butt to the back of the heel, okay? So when you come down here, you can feel like you're pushing your butt towards the back of your heel, or you might feel like it's a little bit back, like straight down into the ground, but either way, give yourself like a point that you're thinking about with your butt and guide it there. Whew, got me out of breath in the morning. So, anterior pelvic tilt. Butt out, curve back, shoulders forward. Major compression, big quads, knee issues, feet issues, lack of development in the calf, hamstrings. Posterior tilt, old man booty. Anterior, ghetto booty. Posterior, old man booty. Old man booty is going to have the big round back, major ball at the neck, major neck issues. Very concave chest, lack of development, issues through the abdomen and organs. Major compression here onto the hips, but it's going to be a little bit different when you have a posterior tilt. It's going to have just this really hardened tissue all through the entire pelvic region. So you're going to see on the posterior tilt that this just kind of freezes. Everything just, the body kind of builds this line of hardness to keep us like this. You see a very guarded walk. You always see like these knee bends, like kind of walks with the posterior tilt. You can see it when the second I stick my butt out how I walk. And I mean, there's a lot of people who don't have to do this on purpose. You'll see their shoulders throw out. It's really common with bikini and figure girls where they do it. And it's a lot of time, guys, if you're checking out a girl and she's doing that, she's not a lot of times meaning to. So there's a lot of things that we do where we'll end up walking a certain way and we don't even realize it. I'll fix people and then it blows their mind like how different and everything feels. You know, the before and afters are really cool, but it doesn't do it justice for like exactly how they feel, how fluid their movements are and stuff. So things you can do to fix this. Big ones, I mean, you could just get used to just using your pelvis. I mean, pull, push, pull, try and rock yourself side to side. Keep that area mobile. It's not rocket science. We can do these things. This is why dancing is like the #1 thing you could do. And like, as a white guy who got into fitness, I felt it was my duty to learn how to dance really good. I sucked at it until I was an adult. So, I don't know, I took it on and just went with it because, oh man, the weeks after that I would go dancing and stuff like that, me and Sarah would go out and just act the fool. My workouts, my everything, my recovery, that was the key. My recovery was amazing, but the fluidity and the mobility of my movements were phenomenal. And guys, when you go out and you dance your butt off and stuff, believe me, even if you just did that for legs, your legs will grow in a way to keep up with whatever you're doing with your upper body because of that mobility and stuff, so keep the freedom there. Big thing, squeeze your butt, like I told you, okay? So you see me sitting here now. Squeeze your butt so hard, not so hard, but squeeze your butt hard enough to where you make it tough for you to take a step. So you're almost like fighting that step with your butt squeeze. And that's basically probably gonna be the most brutal thing you'll feel from legs in the next 24 hours. If you did that all day today and you had a lot of walking to do or whatever, just normal walking, and you kept your butt like that to where you felt like your steps were you're fighting your steps, your butt should be on fire throughout the day, and it should it should feel like one of the most brutal leg workouts you did the day before. But that shows you the weakness of our glutes. So if you do get that, great. If you don't, maybe you didn't do it right. Most likely, you got some strong glutes. Good for you. I just lost my train of thought. First time in this video. Good. Anyways, squeeze the butt, try and walk, and make it tough. That'll help you just really turn on the glutes. These small things, or the residual things, guys, are going to be the what that kill us the most and what benefit us the most. Walking around with your belly button slightly tucked and your butt tight is going to really engage this and really engage this. You're going to notice the two major things that we really need to keep in sync, because front side, back side, these two together holds us really, really tight and in place. So those two things, little pull into the belly button, little squeeze on the butt. Those two things are hugely important just throughout the day, and you'll notice that your ab development will be insane and your glute development will be insane. You'll notice that pelvis should feel pretty phenomenal and stay in a pretty awesome place. So next thing too, the butt squeeze is everything, guys. Just every time you're on an exercise, you're doing shoulders, don't cock your back like this, pull the curve out of your back. Just remember that when you're out there. If you can't remember what I'm talking about, use your butt to pull it and put your hands here on anything. If you're a flat bench, or if you're sitting up, whatever, and pull that till that curve. Don't posterior, but pull that until that curve goes a little flat in your back. And you'll notice when you do that, things will engage on lat pulls like crazy, like you've never felt before. Things will engage like crazy on shoulder presses and different things like that you've never felt before. So take that, move the butt, try and take the curve out of the lower back on any exercise. When you're sitting for work, flying, just notice the curve of your lower back. That'll tell you a lot about, do I need to move my butt? You can also do this, it's a little bit different. The reason I say when you're sitting and stuff is because when you go to squeeze your butt when you're sitting, it's a little different. You're obviously putting pressure on it. So just feel like where my lower back is, because that's a big indicator. You can have two checks now. Can I squeeze my butt on most things? And then, is my lower back too curved? And do I need to change that? And that'll help tell you where you need to put the position of your glutes. But overall, guys, that's pretty much the main things that we deal with is like our work, our play, and stuff like that. So try that with squeezing your butt. I really hope this helped. Check the curve of your lower back, and that really should help you guys out. And just make sure, like when you're doing your squats and your different leg motions and stuff, don't stick your butt out. Absolutely at no point. This is not right. I don't care if you're doing stuff into the side lunges or anything. If your butt is out and your back is curved, your pelvis is off, and the energetic pathways through your body are limited. And it's like pinching off a garden hose. And that flow of water is what's powering your muscle, and you're pinching it off because you want to cinch right here. And then remember, we work off leverage, torque and leverage, guys. That's what muscles fire off of. So if you curve your lower back really drastic, you stick your butt out like that, you're going to tell your body, I'm pinching my lower back, and you're going to stabilize you're going to use it. It's effectively going to use that area because you forced it to fire in a way. So think about that. It's not about what we think here. It's not about all the misconceptions that are out there and stuff. It's not about any of these like ego things that we do. I've done them too, guys. I'm just here to bring better information, because I've had to put myself in check, and I've had to have people put me in check numerous times in my career. So I've learned from those. I'm a sponge. I like to bring it that way. I don't care. I'm very humble when it comes to like things that I learned, because that's how you learn. So just take these things and realize most of them should be taken with a grain of salt. Try them, apply them. Take the things that I'm telling you and mix them with anything that you're already doing. So the things I'm talking about will help you just to blend all these things together, make a program that works for you, and you'll feel it, guys. Just try anything that I tell you. When you take these curves out of your back, when you squeeze your butt, and you do these things, just basic little stuff, it will blow your mind how much of a change it'll make, how much pain you don't deal with, and how much mobility you guys have. And it'll bring the fun and joy back to your workouts, your exercise, and your everyday life. So I really hope you guys had a chance to watch. I know it's I'm looking about 30 minutes, but try to keep it under 30 minutes. But this is a very important topic. It's life-changing for most people, and it's what destroys most people posturally, is the pelvis. And we need to focus on this and not so much this. Thank you, guys. Please check me out on Instagram, or whichever way you guys are watching this, please check me out on Instagram, @MuscleWhispererJosh. Thank you guys on YouTube. I appreciate it.